In these uncertain times in India, I collected a set of questions regarding COVID 19 that my friends and family, including me, had. I then reached out to these panel of doctors: Dr. Samiran Panda, Director and Scientist at ICMR and NARI, Executive Director Medical Coal India Limited, CMO and Deputy CMO Coal India Limited Headquarters. They answered questions and gave some great advice related to these topics. And in this video, we are going to cover this topic.
Now, I have a question from all of you. You've seen COVID happen in 2020, and now you're seeing the mutated strain in 2021. A lot of people are saying that this is more airborne. A lot of people are saying it lasts in air longer than before. Uh, Other than that, I mean, including that and other than that, do you have any observations on comments about how this strain is difficult from last year's strain?
Well, my first response to this question will be the vaccines which are being used currently under the program in India, Covaxin and Covishield, both of them are working fine against the VOC, variant of concerns. The UK variant, the South African variant, and the Brazil variant. So suddenly I got to hear these discussions on social media. Oh my God, there is this new, mutant and the variant.
Right.
So we are helpless. No, we should go and get ourselves vaccinated because these vaccines, the good news is, and these papers, these articles are available in the public domain. Secondly, yes, the UK variant particularly is fast spreading, but the variant which spreads fast is not necessarily the one which is more virulent.
Okay.
Because if the virus kills its host, then a dead body doesn't talk, right? A dead body doesn't sneeze. A dead body doesn't cough. So the virus, for its spread, requests me to cough or sneeze or talk or sing. So if the virus needs to acquire survival advantage, it should be much more transmissible from one to another, but it should not be at the same time a killer or a deadlier virus. So the transmissibility does not necessarily go hand in hand with virulence.
So it's more infectious.
Yes.
It's more infectious, but not.
Absolutely, got it.
Right.
So during the second wave, as I said, it is more breathlessness. That's why the oxygen requirement. It is more younger people getting infected because we slowly went through the process of unlocking. They went out to the shopping mall or vegetable market or for business, job, whatever, and they picked up the infection. And I did talk about happy hypoxia. And so they did not monitor. So the time is right for us to discuss all of this.
Right. But is it more airborne? Like, does it linger in the air longer?
So about the airborne, I did talk about the water droplets, which are large and they fall down. But before they fall down, if they settle on your nose or face from an infected individual, we do acquire the infection. That's why face mask. But the aerosols, they do hang in the air for 3 hours. There is a paper. Again, it is downloadable. Lancet, if you type Lancet, aerosol-borne COVID-19 and Krisha green law. So immediately you can download, and in a confined space, they remain hanging in the air for long. That's why I said if you keep the windows open, so there is cross ventilation.
Last question about vaccines. Even after getting vaccinated, be it first dose, second dose, we are seeing that a lot of people are still getting COVID. Very recently, I'm getting news. I don't know how verified it is because it's on social media, that a lot of people are even dying after getting fully vaccinated. Yeah. So what do we do? I mean, there are things that they might have diagnosed or undiagnosed comorbidities. But other than that, what is your opinion about it?
Okay. If you are interested, I wrote something about vaccine hesitancy and about this particular issue in the Hindu. They can search for it. But in brief, what I would say is that the vaccines that we are using, not only in India, for the whole world, these vaccines are not infection preventing vaccines. They are disease modifying vaccines. So what do they do? If I take the vaccine and after that, if I get the infection, I will be not, in all probability, I will not be progressing to the severe form of it. at the advanced
Okay.
stage of the disease, or my
Okay.
chance of getting admitted to the hospital, or my requirement for oxygen, or even my possibility of going to a ventilator, or even the possibility of dying will be much, much, much less. So the point is, we should all take the vaccine because it also reduces the impact of COVID-19 on the healthcare system. Because the doctors, the healthcare workers, and the healthcare system is being so overstretched and so overburdened,
Right.
So that's really killing us. So
Right.
I would say that even if you get vaccinated, that does not prevent you from getting vaccinated. I will just tell you one story that if you are out there fighting with someone with your sword, so your sword is your vaccine, right? But while you are fighting with your enemy, you do not, lower your armor or the shield down, do you? You
There's a
don't.
face mask and everything.
Because
Right.
face mask is your shield. So if you lower down your shield or armor while you are fighting with your enemy, the enemy will hit you because it will take the chance of your face mask being down. Your face mask is your shield or armor. So while you are fighting, if you really want to win that fight, it is not enough to have the vaccine, but at the same time, I have to use my shield
Take
or
measures.
armor as well.
Okay. So we are at the last section. It's about conceiving, pregnant, and breastfeeding mothers. So as we know, they are not allowed to get vaccinated now because enough study has not been done. So now, if they get, because I have a lot of friends who are pregnant or who are new mothers and they have gotten the virus or they have all the symptoms of the virus, what do they do? Do they just follow normal protocol of like home preventing themselves? How, because there is no option for vaccines for them. The second is if they are new mothers, how do they take care of their child? Because especially newborns and everything, how long should they wait to breastfeed the child? Should they not, should they breastfeed the child or should they not breastfeed the child? Stuff like that.
It's a very good question, an important public health question. I would say that the breastfeeding mothers should wear mask while feeding their babies on the breast. And the breast cleaning is also very important. So breastfeeding is much more advantageous because the bottle feeding might kill the baby. So bottle feeding has a whole lot of disadvantages. So I say that any breastfeeding women, as we do not have data, as you rightly pointed out, breastfeeding mother and the father as well. Men are a bit stubborn. Mothers are
So,
much more caring. Yeah.
right.
And I have no qualms about it. So a mother takes much better care of her child than the father, of course, wants to be caring, but they miss out on finer nuances. So probably the mother should say that if you are to roam around the child or me, you better wear the mask.
Right.
About the pregnant women, we do not have data again. But if you ask me which one I would pick up, which vaccine I would pick up, I would pick up the vaccine because it is whole virion kill. And that's a platform which is a known platform, which is the safest platform. Pregnancy per se is an immunosuppressed condition. It's an immunocompromised condition. So in that situation, the whole virion killed vaccine-based virus, whole virion killed platform-based vaccine is the best vaccine because it's the safest. But we need to wait for some more data to come in. But if somebody asks me, I was asked on different forums, so I have said exactly what I'm telling you now.
Right. So, like, if they get COVID, their treatment should be like any other person, whatever like their physician has suggested.
Like any other, like any other person. Yes.
Okay. So, and lastly, because
I'll stress on breastfeeding. They should continue breastfeeding. At no point of time they should stop feeding the child.
Actually, this is an important point because a lot of my friends, what they are doing is they are resorting to powder or bottle feeding and powder, and they're not doing breastfeeding because they are thinking that way they are closer to the baby, so the baby will get affected.
Yeah, no. Infant formula feeding is an absolute no.
Okay. That's very okay. I'll make sure to highlight that. Lastly, because you're associated with ICMR, is there any hope for people below 18? Because these days, even they are getting affected, right? So, same guidelines or any special guidelines or about when can they get vaccinated or anything like that?
In terms of vaccination strategy, if we do it, I say that mass vaccination won't be required. What is required is smart vaccination. So there
Smart
is difference
vaccination.
between yes. So
Okay.
the prioritized groups and
Sensitive
if we
people.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
if we follow the prevention measures well, if we do our treatment well, and these oxygen plants, oxygen generation plants, which are being now
Hmm.
installed in different hospitals,
Hmm.
those are going to be the game changer. Actually, we did very well during the first wave, and there was
Yeah.
this time. Unfortunately, we could not, gear up for care.
For the second one.
So I would say that we are acquiring, information, from the real life setting. So
Hmm.
we'll know more about the disease and the virus as the time goes by. Um, so the prevention strategies are the same. Definite, treatment guideline by
Hmm.
the Indian Association of Pediatricians,
Okay.
IAP as we call it. And so
Okay.
Indian Association of Pediatricians have come out with a standardized guideline for treatment, and the
Hmm.
prevention measures remain the same.
Hmm.
About the vaccines, we do not yet, but there is a trial which is going on in
Okay.
order to know what is the safety. So there are
Okay.
three things which we want to know. Anyone would wish to know about any vaccine. One is safety, that's done in phase 1 clinical trial. Then the second phase is about immunogenicity.
Hmm.
Is it producing the cell-mediated immunity, as I said, and the
Right.
humoral immunity? And the
Right.
third phase is about the efficacy. But apart from these three, another thing is very, very important. That's immune memory. How durability of the
Right.
immunity which will be produced by vaccine. So we need to have more time in order to
Hmm.
generate data and
Hmm.
to generate knowledge on this. So
Okay.
I won't say that we have all the answers, but we are in the process of going for more knowledge and information, which I would love to share when I get them.
So before I end the call, if I asked all you doctors to like give one message to the general public, uh, so that we can battle this faster, we can, because there's a sense of hopelessness and frustration among everybody, right? Because we don't know when this will end, or when this will become better. So what would you like a statement that you would like to give the most people, how to battle this, like a
I will
generic
wait
statement,
for Dr. Behera and Dr. Paul. I will
like if
wait
you
for
want to
them
request
first.
or urge the audience something.
Yeah, I'll suggest one thing because medical fraternity is such a fraternity that they hardly divulge their expertise to outside, and mostly the non-medical people, they hijack the issues, and they start advocating for all those medical issues. So I will suggest here, as you ask me what you should do there, the last word is consult the doctors. That is all that. So I'll ask my other friend, Dr. Dasgupta, to go over.
Just as said by Shumiron, as narrated by Dr. Paul, and as narrated by Dr. Behera, I'll just stick to the basics. Please maintain COVID protocols and get vaccinated. That's it. And Dr. Paul?
To sum up, I'll have another question for Dr. Panda. Uh, Sir, since you are sitting on all this data, uh, can we just have a hunch of how close are we getting to something called herd immunity?
Okay, so quickly, we completed the third national serological survey in January 2021, and it showed very clearly that only 21%, and if you take care of the healthcare workers, 25% were found to be exposed and infected. So, meaning the rest, that is 75% or 79%, were unexposed and they were vulnerable. And that's exactly what we are seeing now. So people thought that the game was over, the herd immunity was obtained in Baroda, Pune, and Delhi. When journalists asked me, I said, oh, I never knew that Baroda, Pune, and Delhi are India. And then they got me. I said, why are you extrapolating these small surveys in small cities all over India? So actually, India had a huge vulnerable population, and that's why when the mixing started happening and the prevention guards were lowered down, then the second wave happened. In addition to that, mass gathering for political reasons, for religious reasons, and for social reasons. So we are not close to the herd immunity at all if you consider the percentage of 70 to 80% of the population needs to be exposed to natural infection. That casualties of the death will be much more. So we cannot afford to have that as we are seeing now. So herd immunity through vaccination is the only way out there. And if we ramp up our vaccination effort, then we will. But we are far off. We are not close.
I know everybody wants answer to this, so I'm just going to go ahead and ask this. Is there any projected timeline, or we don't have an answer for that?
Projected timeline for
Herd
coming out of
immunity, or let's say herd
coming out
immunity,
of
or
okay.
yeah.
My message would be, well, it is possible to break the chain of transmission if we work as a community. So community engagement, mask, and vaccinate. These three things. If you want me to say something, I would say without community engagement, it would never happen. Without consistent and correct use of face masks, it would never happen. And without getting ourselves vaccinated, because we are talking about herd immunity through vaccination.
Right.
All these three things together will take us out of this situation that we are in. How quickly, I have no idea, but our projection is by end of May, things will come down, but then we should not lower our guards down. So we have to mask up, and we have to also vaccinate
ourselves. Thank you so much.
Just to quote a newspaper report for Ishita, since you already quoted the Hindustan Times sometimes in your questionnaire.
Yes.
You might be keeping track of that also, but there was a newspaper report just today which I came across that says that we are going to end this whole thing by the get over all these things by the end of June, and by the end of this month cases will be decreasing in numbers, and we'll be having around 20,000 in a day. Now, right now we are having around 4 lakhs in a day.
Right.
We'll go down to 20,000 a day by the end of June.
Okay.
So but we should not do anything that will have another third wave coming up.
Definitely, because there are speculations of that too, right? That soon a third wave will come up if this is not controlled. All right. Thank you so much again. Thank you so much,
nice
everyone.
Talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Krishnendu. Thank you, Dr. Paul. Thank you, Dr. Behera. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Good night.
Bye.
For interviews on other section, check the link description below or other videos in this channel.